Have you ever felt like a tiny boat stuck in the middle of a vast ocean? The waves are judgment, expectations, and nameless pressures crashing from every side, and all you wish for is that your mind could be still as a quiet lake. I remember a day like that. Everything at work fell apart. Messages filled with blame kept coming. Someone looked at me with a cold, distant stare that whole day. I couldn't focus, I couldn't smile. And maybe you've had days like that too, when it feels like your emotions aren't yours anymore. They belong to someone else, and you're not the captain of your boat anymore. But here's the truth. You don't have to live that way. You can build inner strength. You can stay calm, even when life feels like chaos. And Stoicism is the compass that helps you do exactly that. In this video, I'll share with you 10 Stoic practices. Not abstract theories, but simple daily habits you can apply, habits that help you build a mind that is peaceful, steady, and free. We'll walk through each one, each like a stone, to help you build your inner fortress. Ready? Let's begin your journey toward mental mastery right now. 1. Control what you can. The Stoic superpower. Not long ago, I witnessed a man lose his temper at the airport. His flight was canceled due to a storm. He shouted at the check-in staff, his hands clenched around the boarding pass, lips trembling with anger. As for me, on the same canceled flight, I just sat there, sipping coffee and reading a book. It wasn't that I wasn't busy, it wasn't that I wasn't worried. It's just, I remembered something Stoicism had taught me. Some things are up to us, and some things are not. Stoicism begins with a simple, but profound truth. There are things in life you can control, and there are things you cannot. You can control your own thoughts, control your actions, reactions, and decisions. You cannot control the weather, control how others behave, or control the outcome of your efforts, no matter how hard you try. What causes suffering is not that the world is against us, but that we try to control what was never ours to begin with. Just like when you send out a job application, you can write a thoughtful, well-prepared email, practice your interview skills, show up on time with a good attitude, but you cannot force the recruiter to like you or change the dozens of other applicants competing with you. A Stoic understands this. They give their best, and then they let go. The mistake many people make is mixing up these two categories. They neglect what they can control, like their health, their words, their responses, and instead obsess over what they can't, like the past, others' opinions, or an uncertain future. Stoicism doesn't tell you to be passive. On the contrary, it gives you real power to focus your energy on what you can actually influence. And sometimes, the best way to prepare for life is not to try and control every variable, but to anticipate what could go wrong, so the mind won't be caught off guard when it does. That's exactly what we'll explore in the next part. Negative visualization. Turn anxiety into peace. 2. Negative visualization. Turn anxiety into peace. Have you ever felt anxious all day just because of something that hasn't even happened yet? An unanswered email, an upcoming meeting, a situation you imagine is going to go terribly wrong. And then your mind spirals into a long chain of what ifs. What if I fail? What if they don't like me? What if everything falls apart? The Stoics felt that anxiety too, but instead of letting fear quietly eat away at them, they walked straight into it, using their imagination. This technique is called negative visualization, also known by its Latin name, premeditatio malorum, which means visualizing ahead the things that could go wrong. At first, it may sound strange, even negative, but in truth, it's a deeply powerful way to train your inner strength. Because when you spend a few minutes each day imagining what could go wrong, you won't be caught off guard if it ever actually happens, and more importantly, you realize that you'll still be okay. Even if it does, let's imagine this. You lose your job, no more familiar salary, no more job title on your desk. Is it painful? Yes. But what then? You still have your skills, your health, your friends, and new opportunities. Even if they come with hardship, when you face the worst-case scenario in your mind, that fear no longer controls you. Olympic athletes use this exact technique. They imagine the worst, tripping at the starting line, broken shoelaces, rain pouring down. They do it not to suffer in advance, but to stay mentally ready. They walk into the competition already having seen the worst in their minds. So when it comes, they're steady, not shaken. The mistake many people make is avoiding fear. They don't dare think about failure, loss, or pain. But the Stoics teach us something else. Look directly at it with clear eyes. That's how you prepare better. That's how you learn to appreciate what you already have. Once you've seen the worst that could happen, the next step is making sure you're strong enough to face it calmly. And that strength doesn't appear overnight. It must be trained. Like a warrior, with discipline, consistency, and intentional daily action. Let's continue with part 3. Train like a warrior. Discipline over emotion. 3. Train like a warrior. Discipline over emotion. There are mornings when you just want to stay in bed. It's raining outside. Your body feels tired, and everything inside you whispers, "Just skip today." Why train at all? We all have moments like that, and how you face that moment will decide who you become, weak or strong. To the Stoics, discipline isn't just a habit. It's a kind of spiritual armor. They trained every day, not to look tough, but to become unbreakable in the face of their own emotions. They understood emotions are like the wind. Today you're full of motivation, tomorrow you're empty. But discipline, it's the path that keeps you moving, even when you feel like stopping. Marcus Aurelius, the famous Roman emperor, even while ruling an entire empire, woke up early each morning to write. He called it soul work. Sitting down, speaking with himself, sharpening his mind like a blade. No one forced him to do it. There were no deadlines, no audience, only the will to stay grounded. In the storm of life, you don't need to be an emperor to train like that. You just need to take a short walk each morning, even for 10 minutes. Write a few lines in your journal. Even when your thoughts feel messy, sit in silence, even for 3 minutes, when your head feels chaotic. That's discipline, not flashy, not loud, but it's the foundation of a mind that can't be shaken. The mistake many people make is waiting for inspiration before they act. But inspiration is a visitor. It comes when you act, not when you wait. So remember, discipline is the love you give to yourself. It's your way of saying, "I will not abandon myself, no matter how today feels." But here's something the Stoics also taught. To grow strong, you can't stay in your comfort zone forever. Discipline isn't enough. You must step into discomfort, accept inconvenience, and endure what isn't easy to forge steel into a sword. And that's exactly what we'll explore in the next part. Embrace discomfort. Seek the cold, the silence, the hard path. 4. Embrace discomfort. Seek the cold, the silence, the hard path. Do you remember the last time you deliberately did something uncomfortable? Taking a cold shower, getting up early on a winter morning, saying no to your phone so you could sit alone in silence. We live in a world full of conveniences, but also one that makes the mind weaker than ever before. To the Stoics, discomfort is not the enemy. On the contrary, it is the harshest teacher. They believed, if you only live in comfort, you will never be strong. That's why they practiced voluntary discomfort, placing themselves in difficult situations on purpose, not to be ascetic, but to train their ability to endure, to control, to adapt. Some successful entrepreneurs today start their mornings with a cold shower, not because they enjoy the cold, but because they want to teach their mind a lesson. I can handle discomfort, and I'm still okay. Others practice intermittent fasting, not to lose weight, but to break free from the grip of hunger, one of the most primal instincts. We now have air conditioning, fast food, and endless entertainment apps. But precisely because everything is too easy, our fears and emotional fragility are growing silently. The Stoics understood steel is only formed when it is heated red hot and struck repeatedly, and the same is true for our inner strength. It must be tested to grow. A common mistake is staying curled up in the comfort zone, thinking it's self-care, but in truth, excessive comfort slowly steals away our ability to stay grounded in the real storms of life. That's why we begin with small steps. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. Meditate in silence for 5 minutes every morning, or simply put down your phone and sit quietly with yourself. Uncomfortable, but necessary, not pleasant, but deeply valuable. And once you've trained yourself to overcome discomfort, the next step is learning to let go of the outcome, because not everything you work hard for will turn out as you wish. And in Stoicism, that's not a failure, but a natural part of life. Let's move on to part 5, detach from outcomes. Focus only on your role. 5. Detach from outcomes. Focus only on your role. Have you ever given something your all, prepared carefully, poured your heart into it, but the results still didn't turn out the way you hoped? You studied for an entire month, yet still didn't score what you wanted. You opened your heart to someone, and they left. You tried to build something, and it failed. It hurts, because it's not just the effort we lose, it's also the quiet belief behind it. If I try hard enough, I should get what I want. But the Stoics would say, the outcome isn't in your hands, your actions are. Do your part, let go of the rest. The only thing you truly control is your role. You are the archer, but where the arrow flies is up to the wind. You are the one who plants, but the sun and rain are not yours to command. You can prepare well, live honestly, give your full effort, but you cannot force the world to respond exactly the way you wish. Let's say you go for a job interview. You've written a professional resume, practiced your interview answers, spoken sincerely from the heart, and yet they hire someone else. That's not failure. That's simply something outside your control, and because of that, it's not worth sacrificing your peace for it. A Stoic will ask themselves, did I fulfill my role with integrity? If the answer is yes, then they release the outcome with calm. Letting go isn't giving up. Letting go is freeing yourself from what was never yours to hold. And that is one of the deepest ways to stay calm. In a world filled with uncertainty, many people tie their self-worth to the outcome, and that's why they constantly feel like they're not enough. Stoicism teaches us to separate ourselves from the result. You are not your failures or your successes. You are someone who acts with reason, with integrity, with intention. And once you've learned to release what you can't control, there's one thing you must hold on to more than ever: your inner steadiness, the kind built through strong mental practices. One of the most powerful practices is this: write, reflect, and talk honestly to yourself every single day. And that's what we'll explore in the next part. Journal like Marcus. Self-inquiry to calm the storm. 6. Journal like Marcus. Self-inquiry to calm the storm. Have you ever felt like your mind was a messy room, thinking too much, yet not thinking clearly? A tangled web of emotions, worry, frustration, regret, and you don't even know where to start untangling it. In moments like that, one of the most powerful things you can do is to sit down and write. The Stoics had a powerful yet surprisingly simple tool: writing to oneself, not to impress anyone, not to preserve memories, but to see your own mind more clearly. Marcus Aurelius, the great emperor of Rome, wrote every day for years about his fears, his anger, his sadness, and the ideals he tried to live by. Those pages, later published as meditations, are now the strongest proof of a soul that knew how to listen inward. When you write, you don't just unload your emotions, you are reorganizing your inner world, from blurry, clear, from chaotic, structured, from heavy, light. You can start with just 3 questions a day. What am I feeling? What am I afraid of? What can I do? with reason and calm. You don't have to write beautifully. You just have to write truthfully. I had a friend. Whenever he was stressed at work, he would blast music, drink, or scroll his phone for hours. But one day, he tried writing. Nothing fancy, just a few short lines. I feel anxious because my boss hasn't responded. I'm scared I'm being judged. I want to control this, but I can't. And you know what happened just. By putting it into words, he felt lighter. He was no longer ruled by his emotions. He had begun to observe them. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens that upsets you. It's how you think about it." Journaling helps you transform that thinking. It doesn't change the world, but it changes how you stand before the world. Many people say, "I don't know what to write," or "I'm not good at writing." But you don't need to be good. You just need to be honest with yourself. You write, not to be eloquent, but to see your heart clearly. And once you've learned how to talk to yourself through the page, once you've seen clearly what's going on inside, the next step is learning how to hold that clarity. Even in the middle of emotional storms, no more impulsive reactions, no more letting people push your buttons. That's where we move into part 7, master the pause, the 3-second Stoic rule. 7. Master the pause, the 3-second Stoic rule. One time, I saw two people arguing at a coffee shop. The first person accidentally spilled coffee on the other's table. The man who got spilled on jumped up and shouted, "Are you blind, you think? I have time to clean up your mess." The first person apologized repeatedly, but the situation had already spiraled. Emotions had taken over in just a few seconds, and I thought to myself, if that man had just paused for 3 seconds, taken a breath, and responded, everything could have turned out differently. The Stoics believed, between stimulus and response, there is always a pause, a very small space, but one that decides. Whether you are a slave to emotion or a master of yourself, that pause is when you realize you're being pulled by anger, anxiety, or hurt, and choose to respond with reason. Viktor Frankl, a psychologist who survived the concentration camps, once wrote, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space, and that space is our power. To choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." Next time someone criticizes you in a meeting, instead of reacting immediately, pause for 3 seconds. Feel the heat in your chest. Hear the voice in your head wanting to strike back, but instead of letting it speak, ask yourself, will this reaction help me? Will I be proud of what I'm about to say? That moment, though short, is the foundation of calm and maturity. Anger, sadness, and pain all want to speak, but you are not obligated to obey them immediately. You have the right to pause, and sometimes a single breath can change the direction of your entire day. Many people think, "I can't help it. I've always had a temper." But being hot-tempered is not a fixed personality. It's a habit that hasn't been trained. And like any other skill, it can be improved. Try this. Every time you feel triggered, count silently. 1, 2, 3. Take a slow, deep breath and ask, what response will I not regret? 3 seconds, small as they seem, can save you from a heated argument, a poor decision, or a damaged relationship. And once you've learned how to pause, to stay grounded in the middle of emotional storms, you'll begin to realize calm isn't just a reaction. It's a moral choice. You choose to act based on principle, not impulse. And that's when you step into a deeper layer of Stoic philosophy, living by virtue, not by ego. Let's move forward to part 8. Choose virtue over ego. What would a sage do? 8. Choose virtue over ego. What would a sage do? Have you ever been in a situation like this? Someone says something unfair about you. You feel the urge to respond, not because of truth, but because your ego feels attacked. You think, I can't let them disrespect me like that. They need to know who I am. And in that moment, wisdom steps back and the ego takes the mic. To the Stoics, every meaningful action begins with just one question. Is this the right thing to do? Not. What will people think of me? Will I win? Will my ego feel satisfied? They believed virtue, not status, not wealth, not reputation, is the foundation of a good life. Epictetus, born into slavery, later became one of the greatest Stoic teachers. He once refused to teach wealthy students because they didn't live by the values he taught. He chose to be respected by his conscience rather than admired by the world. You might face this every day. You see someone cheat their way to success. You're offered a shortcut that no one will notice. You face a decision: keep your word or follow a fleeting emotion. And that's when you ask yourself, what would a sage do? It's not a question about appearances. It's a question for your soul. The ego always wants to win, but virtue always seeks what's right. And sometimes the greatest victory is refusing to play the ego's game. You don't need to prove anything. When you know you've done what's right, a mistake many people make is tying their self-worth to the opinions of others. But if you're always trying to please the crowd, you'll lose yourself piece by piece. The Stoics didn't live for applause. They lived to be worthy. And once you begin choosing virtue as your compass, you'll realize a peaceful mind needs a steady foundation, a structured way of living, just as a blacksmith needs fire and rhythm to forge a blade. A thinker needs daily rituals to forge clarity and calm. Let's move on to the next part. Build a Stoic routine. Morning mindset and evening review. 9. Build a Stoic routine. Morning mindset and evening review. There's something interesting you'll notice when you observe people who seem calm and strong on the inside. They don't come from a special place. They weren't born with a steel mind. They simply live with different habits. They start each day with awareness. They end each day with reflection. And in between is a life lived with intention, not just drifting through the noise of the world. The Stoics saw routine as the anchor of the inner self. Life may change, situations may be chaotic, but a consistent daily rhythm keeps your mind steady for them. The morning is a time to prepare the mind to live with reason, and the evening is a time to review and grow. Each morning, Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "Today, I will meet rude, selfish, and ungrateful people, but that is their nature, not mine." He didn't expect the day to be smooth. He prepared himself to stay steady. You can do the same. Begin your morning with a few minutes of stillness and ask, what unexpected challenges might I face today? What quality do I want to keep throughout the day? In every situation, will I choose to react or to respond? Just 3 minutes, but they can completely shift the way you enter your day. In the evening, Seneca advised, before going to sleep, ask yourself, what did I do well? What did I do wrong? What can I do better tomorrow? This isn't to criticize, it's to observe yourself. With honesty and compassion, you can write a few lines. Today, I lost my temper when I didn't need to. I helped a friend, and that felt good. Tomorrow, I'll try to speak less and listen more. We don't become calm people just by reading books or watching videos. We become better each day through small actions, repeated, like how a small stream can carve through stone. Routine won't make you perfect, but it will keep you moving forward. A common mistake people make is wanting to feel better right away, without realizing that lasting peace is built through consistent habits. You don't need a dramatic inner revolution. You just need a peaceful morning and an honest night. And when you live each day with that kind of intention, you slowly begin to build something priceless, an inner fortress no one can touch, a quiet, steady place within you that the outside world can't shake. That is the greatest gift Stoicism offers, and it's the final lesson we'll explore in the next part. Create your inner fortress. Build calm that no one can touch. 10. Create your inner fortress. Build calm that no one can touch. You might live in a noisy city. You might work under pressure, face unfairness, loss, or chaos from the outside world. But If inside you there is a quiet space, a place that no one can touch, then you will never lose yourself. To the Stoics, this is the inner fortress, not a wall to hide behind, but a foundation to stand strong. Even when storms rage outside, Stoics did not hope for an easy life. They did not pray for a perfect world. They simply chose to build a mind as steady as stone, a place where judgment, misfortune, or even pain could not shake them. You can take everything from me, but you cannot take how I choose to respond. That is the greatest power a human being holds. Think of Nelson Mandela, 27 years in prison, treated harshly, cut off from the world, but he didn't let bitterness consume him. He didn't let hatred take over. Instead, he strengthened his inner world. And when he walked out of prison, he was not just a free man. He was a symbol of forgiveness and unshakable calm. His fortress had no stone walls, only inner strength built through thousands of quiet days. You can start building your fortress too. Not in 27 years, not in any special condition, but simply by living each day with awareness, letting virtue guide each action, observing emotions instead of being ruled by them, and turning every challenge into a brick, adding strength to your inner wall. We often think, peace will come when everything around me settles down. But true peace only comes when we have a place to return to. Within ourselves, you can't control the storm, but you can become the steady house in the middle of it. And if you've come this far, it means you are already on that journey. You are not just learning Stoicism, you are already living it, bit by bit. You've just walked through 10 Stoic practices, not 10 ideas to memorize, but 10 ways of living. To help your mind grow stronger, day by day, we began by realizing not everything is in our hands, that instead of trying to control the world, we must learn to control ourselves, step by step. You've explored how to visualize hardship to find peace, how to train with discipline like a warrior, how to let go of outcomes while still acting with integrity, and finally, how to build an inner fortress, a place you can return to, no matter what life brings. Stoicism isn't something you learn once, it's something you live every single day. You don't need to change the whole world. You just need to wake up each morning, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, today, will I live with strength, kindness, and clarity, or simply react like a shadow bouncing off the noise of life? You can start small, a morning sitting quietly with yourself, a simple question before you react, a single page of honest thoughts written down. But over time, these small actions will shape a person you're truly proud to become. You can't always choose your circumstances, but you can always choose how to live. And if you choose the Stoic path, know this, you are not walking it alone. There are thousands, even millions of others, quietly learning to be strong, just like you. Together, we are building a world where peace doesn't come from the outside, but begins from within. If this video brought you value, share it with someone you feel might need a little more steadiness. And if you want to continue walking this path together, click subscribe, and let's keep building a mind that nothing can shake. Thank you for staying until the end. Wishing you a calm day and a life as solid as a mountain.